Hello, everyone. Welcome to an early morning edition of Did It Work? My name's Nina, and today is an impromptu recipe because I woke up this morning and wanted biscuits. And the reason I wanted biscuits is because I was giving a homemade jar of apple butter, and I love homemade apple butter, and I want to eat it, and I don't have any bread, so I thought this would be great with some nice hot homemade biscuits. So I'm trying to make a biscuit recipe again. You all know who have followed me. I did my Angelou's biscuit recipe. I wanted mine a little bit sweeter, and I know where I made the mistake with them not rising, so I'm going to correct that. So I searched around and found a few different ingredients, a few different recipes, and I took the best parts of every recipe that I liked and combined it to one. And this is my first time trying it to see if it's going to work. So let's get started. First thing it's going to call for is 4 cups of all-purpose flour, and it needs to be sifted. So I have my sifter in my bowl that I'm going to put it in, and I'm going to just put this directly into the sifter. You know, I have to be honest with all of you. Another reason why I'm up this early baking is because I bake to make myself feel better. Baking is a comfort to me. And this has been a rough week for my family with the California fires. Um, I do have a cousin who completely lost her house, and I feel utterly helpless with that because, I mean, what can I do? I can't build her another house. During that time that happened, my electricity went out. So, yeah, they still had a place to stay with me, but we wouldn't have had electricity. I mean, they had their sister, who is also a wonderful for them that they stayed with. But cooking is helping me sort through my feelings. So my sifter holds 3 cups, so I'm going to sift this down just a little bit so I can add my 4th cup of flour and keep going. I am going to leave my flour out because I'm going to need it for when I start rolling the dough. I'm also going to sift with the flour 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 4 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and an optional 1 teaspoon of sugar. Mine's a generous teaspoon because I do like my biscuits sweet. And I'm going to go ahead and sift these. Okay, all sifted. If you don't have a sifter, look at this. This is just a strainer. And you see the little beads in there that didn't sift out? Trash. Okay, so I have all of that sifted in there. I'm going to do just a quick stir. I froze my butter, and I have 1 cup of frozen butter that I'm going to shred. Well, I just now realizing that my mic died, so I'm going to have to try to do a voiceover for the rest of this. I know right now I'm saying something about if when I do this again, I'm using my food processor because shredding this frozen butter is a lot harder than I anticipated because it's very slippery and hard to hold. I know I also was explaining why I had frozen butter on hand if this was an impromptu video shoot. I keep my extra butter in the freezer, and I always have an extra package of salted and an extra package of unsalted butter in the freezer at all times. Now it looks like I'm going to add the butter to the flour mixture with my hands. As I'm adding each handful of butter into the flour, I'm tossing it to ensure that each shred is covered in the flour. Now, the reason why we shredded it is it eliminates the step of me having to cut the shortening into the flour because it's already in little pieces. So I think I actually like this process better than cutting the shortening in there. It seems to go quicker, and I like the consistency a lot better. Also, I'm not squeezing or applying any pressure to the butter in the flour mixture because there's no need to try to break up those shredded pieces anymore. So just do a gentle toss. The most frustrating part about not turning my mic on or it dying while I'm recording is you can tell I'm telling stories as I'm cooking, and I just don't remember the stories that I'm telling after I'm done telling them because they're just stories that come to mind as I'm cooking. But right now, I know that I'm done incorporating the butter into the flour and getting it coated. So now it's telling me to slowly add buttermilk into the well in the flour. So I have to put a well in the flour just by using my hands. And I'm going to pour the buttermilk in there and then incorporate from there. But I did not have buttermilk in my refrigerator, so I had to create it. Now, the way you can create buttermilk or do a buttermilk substitute is take your milk, which I have whole milk, and add 1 tablespoon for every cup of vinegar into it and stir and let it sit for 10-15 minutes. So I have 2 cups of milk, so I did 2 tablespoons of vinegar, stirred it up, and I let it set for about 10-15 minutes. So I'm pouring in the buttermilk into the well of my flour mixture. It looks like I'm only putting in about a cup of the milk in there to start out with. The reason why is because I did make note on my recipe card to only add about 1 3/4 cup of the buttermilk, and then with a rubber spatula to flip or mix it up until all the flour is wet. Now I'm just stirring that in a circle and mixing it up and letting it just incorporate as I go, because as you go in circles, it's going to start falling down. Now, as it starts to get a little bit thicker, then I'll kind of do kind of a flip method so that I'm pulling that dry flour off the bottom and incorporating it in. Now, the reason why I don't pour it all in at once is you can always add more liquid, but you can't take it away. And I don't want to get the dough too wet. So I want to add it in slowly. Now the mixture has gotten really thick and the rubber spatula is just hard to move around. So I'm just using my hands now and making sure I'm getting all that dry flour off of the bottom onto the top. And I also can feel how wet or how dry the dough is as well. So it looks like I'm needing more milk. So I'm pouring some more in there. And let's see how much I poured. Looks like I poured about half of that in there. So, oh, it looks like probably about, yeah, I have half of a cup left in there. So, and I'm mixing it up again. Okay, so it looks like I need a little bit more milk in there. So I'm pouring a little bit more. So it looks like now I'm pouring about half of the half that I had. So I probably have about a quarter of a cup left in my cup. So that means I've now used 1 3/4 cup of the buttermilk. So my recipe was kind of on par for what I kind of need. And I'm going to again incorporate that in there. Be careful not to over mix it as well. Okay, so it looks like I'm done mixing it. So now next it's telling me to turn the wet dough onto a floured surface. So I'm putting flour on my counter. I'm not pulling out my mat because I'm not actually going to roll this out, so it's not going to be that big of a deal. Then it's going to tell me once I get that turned out is I need to flour all sides of the dough. So I'm just rolling it around to make sure I get flour on all sides of the dough. And then after that, I'm going to pat it into a rectangle with my hands. You can clearly see I use a recipe card. So I had to flip it over. Now I'm patting it out with my hands and I'm shaping it into a rectangle about half an inch to an inch thick. And then I'm overlapping it in thirds, one side and then overlap the other side. And then I'm going to make sure there's still some flour underneath it. And I'm going to turn it a quarter. And then I'm going to repeat by patting it into a rectangle shape to another half inch to 1 inch thickness. Now, I'm not measuring this to make sure it's a half inch to an inch thick, so I'm just doing this by eyesight. Now, as you're patting it, if you feel like the dough is sticking to your hands in any way, you can just take your hands and rub it in that flour and pick it up and then just continue to pat it so that it doesn't stick to your hands in any way, shape, or form. Now, as I'm patting this, I'm realizing you don't have a very good view. So I've moved my flour so you can actually see how much the dough has grown. And now I'm doing another tri-fold, first fold, second fold, and I am picking it up and doing a quarter turn on it again, making sure that there's still flour at the bottom of it. Don't overflour it because I think I overfloured this one. Now, this is my last quarter turn. As you can see, I'm trying to figure out what's a quarter turn and what's not, but I got it. So this is my last quarter turn. And for your final quarter turn, you want to make it about 3/4 to 1 inch thick for you to make your final biscuit cutouts. Now, all of that's by preference and by sight on how you want to do that. You'll turn the dough between 2 and 4 times, quarter turns. When your dough starts feeling solid, not stiff, but solid, stop patting. It's done. Bigger this dough has gotten by me just patting it into this rectangle shape. Now I'm coming to the end of my patting stage in this, and I'm looking at the next instructions in my recipe. Now, first of all, I think I forgot to tell you that your oven should be preheating at 400. And now I am just making sure I have it at the thickness that I want. Now that is the cutout that I'm using. That's the size that I want. I'm going for kind of a bigger biscuit because it's just me. So I'm going for kind of a bigger, fluffier biscuit versus smaller, not as tall biscuits. I guess I should have said bigger, taller biscuit versus smaller, shorter biscuits because it's just going to be me. And so I'm going to just take it, push in there at the edge, push it, twist it, and then pull it up. And then once I get the biscuit pulled up, I'm going to flip it so that the bottom is now the top. That's how I'm going to do it. That is what I messed up with the first time that I did biscuits is I didn't do that flip over. So you want to do that so it gives it an opportunity to rise a little bit better. And then I'm putting it on my cookie sheet that I have sitting on my stove. And so I'm going to repeat doing that until I run out of dough. So you see I don't have enough room to do another cutout. So I'm going to gather all of my dough up together and I'm going to do another triangle pat. And then I'm going to cut out some more. Okay, there's my second triangle pat. Now I'm taking it and I'm taking my cutout and I'm cutting as many pieces out as I can again. And then once I run out of room again, I'm going to repeat with the scraps and make another triangle rollout or triangle pat out and cut again. Okay, here's my third triangle rollout, and I'm getting now 2 more biscuits out of this one. I think in total I ended up getting 15 biscuits out of this at the very end. I know I get 2 more here, and then I have the scraps, and I end up making one last biscuit. No, I lied. I actually made 1 more biscuit out of those scraps of that one. So this is my 15th biscuit. So now these are going to go in the refrigerator for 15 minutes. So I've taken these out of the refrigerator. These will go in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes until they're nice and golden brown. I'll meet you at the tasting table. Okay, so welcome to the tasting table. Look at these. I got the lift that I wanted that I didn't get last time, and that's because I didn't. Let me turn my music down. And that's because I didn't put them on the pan correctly. But look at the inside of those. Look at that. So I did put butter on mine already. I should have shown you before I put butter on them, but I did put butter on them already and on the tops of them. And I have my hot chocolate because this is going to be my breakfast. So I'm going to put a little bit of butter. I've got some butter sitting off camera that I got melted to room temperature. I will taste one without butter as well. This is the apple butter that I got at the Rose Bowl parade. So this is homemade apple butter. So let me first taste one without any butter on it. So, oh, you can still see the steam coming off of these, I think. Oh, it's so nice. Here it goes. Oh my gosh. These are perfect. These are perfect. Oh my gosh. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, let me get to the ones with butter. Just butter first. Oh my gosh, this is what I wanted to have. They're not sweet, so that tape teaspoon of sugar I put in there did not make them sweet. It just brought a different flavor profile. Oh, that butter is great. I have a nice crisp on the outside of them that I am loving. Oh my gosh. Okay. Try this apple butter. I'm so excited about this apple butter. I know this is not about the apple butter, but this is the reason why I got up and made biscuits. Oh, I am in heaven. Okay. This recipe that I forged together through 5 different recipes is perfect. This will go in my recipe box as successful. And since now I know how to make it quickly, I will be making these quite a bit in the mornings because this was very easy, quick to do. Just always keep butter in your freezer so you'll always be prepared. Oh my gosh, this is lovely. Pray for everybody in California that have lost their homes. If there's a way to donate to help any of them, please do it. That is devastating for people to lose everything they've worked for, photos, memories, and all that is gone. So please donate. Um, be kind, give grace to people right now, and look out for each other. As always, love with your heart, cook with your soul. My name is Nina. Bye.